to go.
Yep.
Isn't?
Oh, it's good, okay. I hereby call this meeting to order. I would like to thank today's presenters, everyone joining us in person and or via Facebook Live. Wave to the camera. And tonight we have Brady Capel to lead us with on the pledge, in the pledge. Ready?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All our board members are in attendance tonight, and there are a couple addenda items which include the additional information on media report and community relations update, Head Start CARES budget carryover and non-federal share waiver request, and Portland Medical Center donation agreement. I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda with the addenda.
I move that we approve the agenda with the addenda.
I'll second.
Great, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Hearing none opposed, that motion has passed. The next on the agenda is to approve the minutes, and probably should read the minutes. It's a regular board meeting from November 9th, 2021, and an executive session, student discipline, November 10th, 2021. And then, that would be it. I would entertain a motion to approve the,
I hereby move that the board approve the agenda as presented.
The
no,
minutes.
done,
One more.
Minutes.
The minutes, I'm sorry,
okay.
presented.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That motion has passed. Next on the agenda is the approval of the consent agenda, which include authorizing of payments of claims, approving the supplemental financial information, and approving the amended human resources activity. I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I move we approve the consent agenda, the authorized payment of claims, to approve supplemental financial information, and to approve the amended human resource activity.
I'll second.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion is passed. Next, we get to the fun part. The agenda is recognitions, and that will be presented by Courtney Fisher. Welcome.
This is always the fun part of the meeting. Good evening.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Chairman, trustees, Dr. Howell, Ms. Johnson, and student representatives. Tonight we will recognize several individuals who, through their actions, support in our bodies and embody our district's mission to think more, learn more, and be more together. First up, we have our CAKE Awards. Our district believes that a safe, supportive, caring, and respectful environment is critical to student learning. The School District 25 Education Foundation, in partnership with McDonald's, supports the Learner of the Month Award to recognize one elementary learner and one secondary learner from our district from October through May. I'm out of breath because I've been cleaning up and running back and forth. The CAKE Award celebrates positive character, attitude, kindness, and encouragement toward others. In addition to being recognized here with you tonight, each learner is also recognized in front of their peers in their classrooms later in the week. Nominations for the CAKE Award are submitted by a teacher who has observed the learner's behavior and are approved by the school's principal. So first up, we have our December CAKE Award Elementary Learner of the Month. So please help me welcome Roxy Ward and her teacher, Mrs. Jessica Williams, to the podium. Hello, and thank you so much for being here with us tonight. And you can just stand right here with your teacher. So Roxy is a 5th grade learner at Indian Hills Elementary School. And in her nomination letter, Mrs. Williams wrote, "Roxy has such a kind heart. She is constantly encouraging others in the class to pay attention. She always volunteers to help not only me, but other students in the class. I see it out at recess as well. She loves to play basketball and really gets all the girls involved to play. Her positive attitude is contagious in class. If I ask the class to do something and anyone whines or complains, she is always the first to say, "Come on, guys, don't be like that." I love that she encourages others to have a good attitude towards school and classwork. So tonight we have for you this certificate. And also, you will be getting a special treat to share with your class later this week. I believe that Shauna has made arrangements with you to get those to you. And then Roxy and Mrs. Williams will each receive a gift card from McDonald's. And then this is my favorite part, Roxy. You are going to get a $50 gift card to purchase books in your name for your school library. So anytime somebody checks out that book, they'll open it up and see that this was donated courtesy of Roxy Ward. I think that's pretty special. So please join me in congratulating Roxy for being named our Elementary Learner of the Month for character, attitude, kindness, and encouragement. Thank you so much. And now we have our December Cake Award for our Secondary Learner of the Month. So will you please help me welcome Michael Capel and her teacher, or Capel, right? Capel, excuse me. And her teacher, Mrs. Ellen Lagus, to the podium. And Ellen has another special guest with her this evening. So thank you so much for joining us tonight. You want to step up just a little bit, guys? Michael is in the 6th grade at Hawthorne Middle School, and in her nomination letter, Mrs. Lagus wrote, "Michael is a devoted, thoughtful student. She strives for greatness on all her work. She's an active learner who asks questions and continues to push her learning forward. She is kind, gracious, patient, and very understanding. I have seen her go above and beyond to make other learners feel appreciated and heard. Kindness is something that Michael exudes, and her sweet demeanor allows other students to feel comfortable. She is a model student who does her best in all she does." So Michael, you also received this certificate, and we will also be visiting your classroom with special treats for you to share with your peers. We think it's really important for your peers because you model this kindness for them, so we like to not just recognize you here, but recognize you in front of your peers. So that kindness is contagious, right? You're also going to receive a gift card to McDonald's, and then also $50 to purchase books in your name for your school library. So congratulations, and thank you so much for the nomination. And if you'll say hello and let our board congratulate you, please help me in congratulating Michael.
I would have loved to have my class.
Your help.
I like your sweater. Thanks.
And we want to thank our partners in this award, McDonald's and the School District 25 Education Foundation.
Thanks, Alan.
Either way, you want in or out?
Okay, thank you. Next up, we have our December Employee of the Month, or our PIES Award. The Employee of the Month PIES Award recognizes our employees who positively influence educational success. The award is for employees who go above and beyond in that effort. Lookout Credit Union partners with us in providing this award. And tonight, I'd like to welcome Jeff Corrington to this podium, almost up to the stage. And Mr. Corrington was nominated by Ms. Sonia Pixton, and she was unable to join us tonight. She had another meeting, but welcome. Thank you for being here tonight. Ms. Sonia Pixton nominated Jeff for this recognition. In her nomination letter, Ms. Pixton wrote, "I have had the pleasure of dealing with Jeff numerous times over the years. He has helped locate learners who got on the wrong bus. He has helped locate forgotten belongings on a bus. He is always willing to go the extra mile to help. He does not drop the ball and has amazing communication skills. There have been times when I have called during undoubtedly busy times for the bus department, and he is always so friendly and does everything he can to help solve someone else's problem. He deals with everyone in a very professional, helpful way. I'm grateful to work with such a professional, pleasant person. Thank you for all you do, Jeff. And we see this day in and day out here at the district office. Mr. Corrington has been helping drive bus during our bus driver shortage, and just always goes the extra mile and is always so pleasant to work with. So I commend you and congratulate you on this award. And you are going to receive also a certificate. And also a $50 gift card, courtesy of Lookout Credit Union, our partners. And will you please join me in congratulating Mr. Corrington? I'll congratulate you.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thanks, turnabout's fair play. Thank you.
Our transportation department truly are the unsung heroes, keeping this ship running and our learners safe and on time. And so thank you so much for everything you all do. Okay, in addition to tonight's reception to thank you for your service, we also have a special recognition for our Board of Trustees and any cabinet members that would like to join us up here for this recognition. We wanted to take this opportunity to celebrate our board members and thank you for your dedicated service to this district, to our staff, to our learners, and to their families and to this community. We appreciate your exemplary leadership, and we know that it has been award-winning boardsmanship from this board year in and year out. So we would like to thank, and we will come to you so that you don't have to come to us, but we would like to present Mrs. Jackie Craner for 12 years of service with this award, and I'll hand that to you. And then Janie Gephardt for 15 years of service. And Mr. Dave Mattson for 8 years of service. And please join me in sharing our most heartfelt gratitude for our outgoing Board of Trustees. We wish you each well, and you will be missed.
Thank you. Yes. Oh, we gotta stand up. Thank you. Sorry. Hey, Chuck. How are you? Oh, yeah. All right. Is there one tomorrow?
Yeah, there is.
Okay, I'll be there. Yes, sir. Hi, young lady. Just correct.
That concludes our recognitions. Thank you.
Correct way to do it. Yes. Or, well, okay, is that, no, they're leaving.
The evacuation.
Okay. And, okay.
I always think.
Oh, not me.
You don't need
Oh, no. Okay, now it's time for, time in the program for a public written comment for items that are not pertinent to agenda items, and I have one item here from Robert Adling. He's not here? Okay, we'll move forward then. Okay, now next is student reports, student representative reports. And the first up is Century High School. Janet Anderson, please. Either one, whatever you want to do.
Good evening, members of the board and Superintendent Howell. My name is JJ Anderson, and I'm co-student body president at Century High School. My co-president Dominic was unable to make today's meeting, but I am eager to fill you in on our behalf about what has been going on at Century. As the holiday season is among us, we've been doing our best to come together and give back to our community and to Century families. We collected money through Coin Wars for Century students in need. We are still in the process of counting the total, but we have high hopes as the Century student body has a good reputation for giving. Last month, Century Student Council and administration organized the Giving Tree. The Giving Tree is an opportunity for Century families and members of the community to help us in our attempt to buy and provide holiday gifts for Century students who would not receive them otherwise. This is part of a huge school-wide participation that the Student Council has organized. We call this the Holiday Hunger Games. In the weeks leading up to winter break, students have come together to buy wishes to raise money for these gifts. Some of these wishes include buying a teacher in the face, story time and hot chocolate with the beloved English and drama teachers, a huge competition amongst teachers that students get to raffle and participate in, and many more exciting things. As for overall academics, athletics, and activities, our basketball teams are quickly approaching mid-season, and we have a lot of fun watching all of their hard work pay off at games. Our wrestling team is also working tirelessly as their work is paying off at their matches. Our dance and cheer teams have attended a few competitions where they have placed well. Diamondback Dramatics got first place at state. Our choir had a concert tonight, orchestra has a concert tomorrow, and band has a concert on Thursday. 16 Century musicians auditioned their way to compete at the all-state competition coming up soon. Century started a campaign called Dare to be a Diamondback to encourage kindness, courtesy, and civility in the classroom. We've implemented many video lectures and games in TA to help build more unity, and students and teachers have enjoyed more interaction for the TA time once a week. Yesterday, Pocatello Commissioner Huff came to talk to the Student Council about changes we'd like to see be made to Pocatello. Many students were excited to feel heard and tell their ideas, and Commissioner Huff was eager to hear from a younger demographic. Lastly, the American Red Cross came to Century today for a blood drive, and many students donated. That's all that has been happening at Century for the past couple weeks. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you, Janet. Okay, and next up, Tenley Ward, Highland High School.
Good evening, board members and Superintendent Howell. My name is Tenley, and I am the junior vice president at Highland High School. Last night, our band and choir had their annual performances for the holidays. We're so proud of these students and their directors for all the hard work that they do, because it really does pay off, because let's just be honest, music is the best. Highland held auditions for our spring musical. This year they're performing Shrek, so that should be interesting. Winter activities are in full swing. Basketball, cheer, dance, and wrestling are working very hard, and they provide a lot of events for our school to cheer at, which we do. Highland wanted to publicly thank our board members that are departing us for your leadership and hard work in these so many years you served. So thank you so much on behalf of Highland.
Thank you, Tenley. Okay, next is Pocatello High School, Aubrey Larson.
Hi, my name is Aubrey Larson. I am junior class vice president. We are super excited to move our science department into our new addition that had our ribbon cutting yesterday. And we are also very excited as the cold weather hits to be able to pass through the building between classes. We want to thank everyone so much for their efforts in being able to make this happen for us. This week is our holiday spirit week at Pokey, and the student body has been participating in a lot of fun activities. Tomorrow night is our band and orchestra holiday concert, 7:30 p.m. in the auditorium. Our boys basketball team has also been doing very well. We are currently 4-0. Speech and debate is also doing awesome this year. We have had people place and win in every tournament they have participated in so far. Our student government was able to provide 210 people with Thanksgiving dinners and will be providing Christmas presents and Christmas meals for 50 families. We're able to do this with proceeds from the haunted house and the penny drive we are running right now. Our art department has been participating in the monthly art walks, and it is really fun to walk through downtown Pocatello and be able to see all the talent our school and our city has. Thank you.
Thank you, Aubrey. Okay, next is Courtney Fisher, Media Reports and Community Relations Update.
I've got a couple extras for you. Okay, so this December 2021 media report, I sent you in your addendum links to articles of interest that are included in that report. Headlines of interest include health experts were paying attention right now to the Omicron, I think that's how you say it, arrival in Idaho. A legislative preview has been making the headlines, including plans to address budget surplus, all-day kindergarten, and a proposal to phase out school supplemental levy, so we're keeping our eyes on that. We've also got our eyes on the redistricting, trying to understand that and when that will become final and which of those zones will change with that. Pocatello High School students embrace new mascot. We've had some really positive stories about Pocatello High School and all the changes therein. And we were excited last night to unveil with you and cut that ribbon at Pocatello High School. It was very well attended, and I enjoyed that, and I'm sure you did as well, just to see the excitement and the enthusiasm in the community, not just the school community, but the wider community coming together to embrace that, and it's just beautiful. So I commend you for your leadership on that project. Live stream, we've had one meeting since we last met, November regular board meeting. There were 131 views, which really tells you we've kind of passed into more mellow time with lower viewership. Social media, we continue to incrementally grow our social media audience on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Our largest audience continues to be Facebook with almost 10,500 followers. We continue to post frequently to showcase positive content about our schools, our staff, and our learners. I encourage you to follow that page if you haven't already. We've been posting lots of videos showcasing things that our student reps talked to you about tonight, like the Dare to Be a Diamondback initiative. Lots of great things happening in our schools that we're trying to really showcase through video content. Our website, we had 51,000 users in the last, which fluctuated last month from 33,000. So we had almost 20,000 more hits this last month. 66,000 sessions. 76.3% of our users are accessing that site on their mobile devices, which was up from 59% last month. So that's interesting. One of our goals for the new website will be to decrease our bounce rate, which means that our visitors are coming to the page to view one page and then leaving. We want them to explore, learn more about our district. So that's one of our goals, to make more enticing content to keep them there a little longer. Our most frequently visited pages, we had just under 100,000 page views, and we learned something interesting today. Not all of these hits are organic, because when I looked at the top, I report the top 10 to you every month. And so the top 10 was home, PHS home, elementary food services, food service home, and then we had 5 different schools with their bell schedule. So I thought that was a little strange. So I had some conversations with Kevin Chatfield, our technology coordinator today, to say, why is that? And there's bots. Have you all heard of bots that visit and they're going to these pages, and we can't figure out why, and we're trying to figure out how to block them. But our top 10 hits really tell a story, and they set trends for us. So it's really interesting to investigate that and see, okay, why would people be looking at our bell schedule 800 times in the last month? So anyway, we did a little bit of investigating today. In other news, we reviewed the initial wireframework design of the new website, and really excited about how that project is developing. We sent out a survey last month, and we had 550 responses, so we really wanted to get stakeholder input to make sure that we're on the right track with what our community needs in that website, what our learner needs, what our staff, our learners need, and what our staff needs. So that we will finish the design phase January, February for both the district site and the individual school sites, and then we'll launch that new website in June of 2022, so something to look forward to. And that is my report. If you have any questions for me, I'd be happy to address them.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Yep, thanks. Yeah, you are excused, I'm sorry. I'd love to have you stay with us,
You don't have to go.
you know, but I know you're busy, so thank you. Okay, next we move on to curriculum and instruction, school safety and athletics. And first up, Lori Craney. And you're going to talk to us about quite a few items.
Yeah, I am. First of all, the 21st Century After School Program, a letter of intent has been submitted to the state to indicate our interest in submitting an after-school grant. This grant would be to continue the program at Washington, Lewis, and Clark, and Jefferson, and to add Ellis Elementary to that program. The current grant that expires includes Irving Middle School, but the program at this school has been hard to fill with students and to keep their attendance up. Our middle schools have robust extracurricular activities, and students choose to participate in those rather than the after-school program. The grant application is due at the end of January and will be presented at the January board meeting. For the food backpack program, you'll see in there the chart that shows how many food backpacks were distributed. There were 526 distributed in November, and a reminder was sent to counselors and community resource workers to let them know that they may take extra backpacks to give to students for the winter break. So for the Head Start update, so I'll just begin, and then Mrs. Lossback will add in. ERSI for enrollment, at the end of November, the program had 165 children enrolled. In January, the program will focus on a mid-year recruitment effort and enrolling remaining children on our wait list, which is currently at 5. Attendance for November was 78.44%. Illness was the #1 reason, and it was mostly impacted the full-day classroom, especially the classroom at Tyhee. Personnel has 9 open positions, 4 part-time classroom assistant aides, 1 full-time classroom aide, 1 full-time dispatcher, and 3 full-time mid-management professional positions. Those were the ones that have been just recently added. For the facilities, we're still waiting for approval of that carryover request from Region 10. Once approved, we can put out the RFPs for the module. 2 years. November 11th was 2-year anniversary, so. For Policy Council, the Policy Council parent representatives were seated and new officers elected at the November 11th regular Policy Council meeting. Michaela Schell is the new Policy Council chair. At the December 9th Policy Council meeting, the council discussed the new Head Start performance standards and gave their support in working towards full implementation. There are new Head Start regulations. So earlier this year, it was in the fall, the program was notified of possible vaccination regulations. We'd been waiting to see exactly what the regulations were and what any possible exemptions and findings might be. After the Thanksgiving break, much to our surprise, the Office of Head Start released notification of an addition to the performance standards to include masks for learners over 2 years of age and for all adults who work directly with the students. This performance standard went in place on November 30th as an interim rule. Also included as an additional performance standard was for staff members to be fully vaccinated by January 31st. Exemptions for documented medical conditions and sincerely held religious beliefs are included in the ruling. In these cases, testing would be required. There is now an open comment for this for the period of 30 days. And this is an opportunity for programs and stakeholders to add any comments or remarks on these new performance standards. In the meantime, the program has begun informing staff and parents and working towards compliance. And go ahead.
Share the microphone.
Oh, that'd be nice. Can you just yell?
I can yell. I don't think they want that. And then the last is the action item, which we will ask for your consideration of approval later this evening regarding a carryover and non-federal share waiver request, this time for our CARES COVID-19 one-time funding, which is the first of the 3 different COVID funds that we received. This was awarded for the 2021 school year. The total amount was $148,518. Along with that, we did put in the waiver request for 100%. So we're asking basically to carry these funds over to the 21-22 fiscal year. We did not need to spend much of that money when we first received it, primarily because it also included this belief that programs at the end of the 1920 school year could then offer a summer school for everyone. And we were like, I don't think we're going to be ready yet, which we weren't. So we didn't put in for that money, but they opted to give it out to programs. So we have $118,904 to carry over, and then we propose to allocate the funding for the following items as you see, which are areas that have surfaced and would fall within the criteria for COVID-19 dollars. So are there any questions that you have on our request or any of the items that we shared with you tonight?
I have a question about the open positions.
Yes.
That you're trying to fill, how that's affecting your program. Did you say 9 teachers that you're looking for?
So we have 9 open positions, of which there are 5, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that are classroom positions. So it is having an impact in that when you have illness, and it's not only kids but staff, trying to then get enough others moved around within the program to keep the classrooms open, and we've not been able to do that 100% of the time, so it is impacting us. And then when classrooms are not in person, we do the virtual session that day.
Okay, so somewhat like problems with substitute teachers.
Exactly.
You know,
Yeah, we try to build in so that we have our own enough staff within our program, such as having 3 in a classroom. Those classroom aides truly are our floating subs, and they are the ones that get moved around to other rooms.
So when you do virtual, how does that work with your students? Are they all hooked up, or can they all facilitate that?
You know, many of them are. I'm going to say not ideally in which all of the families have computers, but many of them are able to link in to the Google Classrooms using even their phones.
Okay.
So we've been able to have pretty good connection with families. And that is something, while we're not regularly implementing this school year, we recognize that this is going to be a part of their education moving forward. So we want to make sure that our families in particular are well-versed in Google Classroom, so that when the kids go on to kindergarten and such, it won't be a new concept for them.
Okay.
Oh, thank you.
And then I have the calendar, and you'll see.
I'll just tell everybody it's perfect.
I know Dave was on that committee.
I was on the committee.
We did really well, yes. Well, it can be anything but.
What was it, 30 minutes? I don't
Yeah,
know.
33 minutes, so yeah,
See?
that's what it took. Record time. We did well.
We better look at this close.
Yeah. Just a few things, and we really, it's very similar to the current calendar, but there's some areas to note are August 16th is the start date for teachers. August 23rd is the start date for students. So October 6th and 7th is a little bit different. We've added in another day for parent-teacher conferences for our elementary learners. So October 6th and 7th will be no school for elementary students on either of those days. So parent-teacher conferences for elementary will be the 6th, all day during the 6th, in the evening of the 6th, and then half-day on the 7th. For secondary students, they will have school on the 6th. Parent-teacher conferences will be the evening of the 6th, and then the morning of the 7th will be professional development for our high schools, and then parent-teacher conferences for our our middle school students. So a little bit different there, but we've found that we have not been able to really meet the needs of the elementary parents and teachers as they try to meet with all of their learners and meet with them at least 15 minutes, and that's really hard to do. 30 students in one day, 15 minutes each, the math just doesn't quite work out, if you put in any kind of a break. So then the other thing we've got is November 8th is a professional development day for K-12. Typically, there's a professional development day for everyone in October, and we've moved it there to the 8th. That is Election Day, also, which will have a state election. The 21st through the 25th, again, 1 week at Thanksgiving. It's preceded by the 18th, which is a record day. So the end of the try is right there. December 19th through January 2nd will be the winter break. January 2nd is the national holiday, so we had to put that in there and not come back until the 3rd. March 9th is parent-teacher conferences. Typically, we've had I don't know if it's typically, the last few years, we've had parent-teacher conferences kind of mid-try in January. And it's just you come back from Christmas break, holiday break, winter break, and then swing right around and do the parent-teacher conference, and it's pretty tight. So we've put it on March 9th. It will be parent-teacher conferences, a time to showcase learning for the elementary. And then at the secondary level, they've needed a day for registration. So 5th graders moving up to 6th grade, 8th graders moving to 9th. So that day would work well for them. So we're going to try it and see how that works to have it on the 9th. We'll probably go half day and then into the evening so that we can accommodate working families. And then the last spring break, you'll see on there the 20th through the 24th. May 31st is the last day for students. June 1st is graduation and record day, and the 2nd is teacher checkout. Total of 172 contact days for our secondary students. So,
Just one question.
Yeah.
How does that work on graduation day when teachers have students that have kids that are graduating?
what we've let them do is they can go if they have, oh, you'll have to help me with this one. Brenda, if they have their own children, right?
Yeah, then we just consider that part of the position and allow them. We cover with, some other people if necessary, but we grant them that opportunity to attend.
And on the first, there are no students that day, so then they can leave for their own children.
Yeah, and oftentimes in the high school, we have that coverage anyway from our staff being at the graduations.
Right.
So it works out pretty well. But yeah, we allow our staff to go if they have family. They just work that out with their principals.
A lot of teachers would like to see some of their students that graduated, got close to it, so.
Uh-huh.
So are they getting out about a week later?
No, this is really similar. I don't know.
It's
Just a
about,
few, 2 or 3 days. I don't.
is that all it is?
Yeah, just because as the calendar shifted. So what is it this year? The 3rd? I don't have it in front of me.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Did we get out right after Memorial Day
Yep.
last year?
Uh-huh.
Right
Yep.
after?
And this year we'll get out right after Memorial Day.
And picking up those other days, typically, as I understand it, Mrs. Graney, that around Thanksgiving,
Yeah.
that extends us just a little bit.
Those of us that used to teach remember getting out Wednesday afternoon.
I know.
Right? Yep.
It was always a half-day Wednesday, wasn't it? Back in those days.
So that's a nice addition there for them and for families who travel, so.
Yeah. And as we looked at the calendars of the schools around our area, well, really across the state and into the Boise Valley, it's very typical that they're taking that week there
off.
and then 2 weeks. So this will be presented for your approval tonight.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Tanya Wilkes, number of items.
items. Good evening. First on our list today is the suspension report. At the trimester beginning, right after Thanksgiving, all the administrators had the mindset of rebooting. So we really set out, and you heard some of the kids talk tonight about the kindness weeks, recognition, getting back to the basics, focusing on relationships, consistency, and just going back to the core values of students and being good citizens. So our suspension rates are looking pretty good. And for instance, DDRCs, I only have 3 tomorrow. So
I thought it
that
was
tells
2.
me a lot.
It's 3 now.
It's 3, yes. Any questions?
What's a kindergartner doing?
Well, sometimes they bring their gifts to school that are not supposed to be at school.
Okay.
Typically. That is a good question. I have the hardest time with the elementary at DDRC, I gotta tell you. All right, the next is a wrestling tournament at Brigham City. That is actually on their schedule. They had not decided to stay overnight, and so we included this because they had requested that they could stay overnight in Brigham City for that tournament. And the next is there any questions about that? And the next is the sponsorship from Advantage Plus. You already approved that. They wanted to add some terminology that we thought was in there and it wasn't in there, just asking that they have first right of refusal, so long as the sponsor proposed terms match or exceed any other prospective sponsors, just giving them the opportunity to be able to continue supporting us. Any questions about that?
It's fine. And if
They
we don't
love,
like 'em,
they
we'll
love
check
being
them,
our
right?
sponsor, so I love that, yes.
So they can bid against each other. Is that kind of?
Not necessarily, just that they would like to continue, after the contracts are complete, they'd like to be given an opportunity to continue to support us, even if that means that it costs a little bit more. They would like to have that opportunity. And then we finally got the Portneuf contract, so that's awesome. Thank you, Brett Farley, for following through with that. We've had the trainers contract, it was a 2-year contract. We're doing really well, great partnership, great communication, but in light of everything going on with COVID and so forth, we understand the delay. But this is very similar to what we've done in the past.
Yep.
Any questions about that contract?
Nope.
We're just thankful that they continue to support us.
Yes, very much so.
Yes. Thank you.
Mhm. Business operations, Jonathan Balls.
Good evening, board members, and it's good to be here with you, and thank you for your time this evening. Just real quick, the Idaho General Fund revenue. Again, we can continue to exceed predictions. This last month by 14.5%. A line in the second column of the article here I thought was very interesting, that withholding, so your tax withholding collections was the 3rd largest number that the state has ever seen in its history, was 152.6 million. But what's interesting is that the largest was last January, and then the second largest was August. So you can tell that, I think that just shows the strong population growth, job growth, that the state is collecting more and more taxes and therefore exceeding revenue, and so it'll be a very interesting legislative sessions as we've commented before. So, any questions on that? Okay, this next part is it's the annual capital improvement program, it's a SIP program request. Again, I'd like to thank all of the committee members that have helped put this together, particularly we appreciate our board members, Mr. Mattson, Mr. Facer, for helping in this process as well. And so, again, it's always amazing that we do start a year in advance. It's just so big, and so important that we do start a year in advance in July and September, where Great Maintenance Department is checking every door, every sidewalk, every carpet, everything to see what is needed to be replaced and updated. And then in October, the building administration and staff, they submit requests for their buildings, and then we compile that, and our SIP committee starts to meet in October, November, and finalizing it this year, it was in December. And then we're coming to you for approval, and then especially this year, that we want to start even earlier to get on some schedules of some of these vendors, and so we can lock in these prices and their timing, which is becoming even more and more important, that we are on their schedules. And so we'll even start that in January. The next slide, again, it shows our estimated revenues. Again, these are, I should explain that this is starting July 1st of 2022. And so we try to estimate, okay, how much money will we have in that account? We do appreciate, as you flip between the next two slides, 75% of our revenue for these projects come from our taxpayers through our plant facility levy. We appreciate the continued support for that allows us to keep our schools and facilities updated. Again, a little bit of earnings on investments. The state lottery is in there as well, bus depreciation. This year, we do appreciate the donations. I've just listed two there, and they equal about 11% of our funding. Again, just as a reminder, this is not all of our donations, and this is just the donations that will be used to fund our outdoor facilities. We've received donations, as you even heard today, about for indoor facilities, and we received donations from last year as well. So we appreciate all those. I just mentioned those that those numbers were included in these figures.
That's about the first time I think we've really seen those numbers all included. It's
Correct.
nice to see.
I weighed if I should include those or not, but it just made more sense because they're part of this.
I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, that SIP program. Okay, so the next slide is, again, some estimated expenditures. The large one is this replacement schedule. Again, these are the items, and we'll go over those more in detail, that need to be maintained and upgraded. And that helps on our maintenance, and it helps our buildings and facilities function, keep our learners learning, and keep our staff safe and comfortable. Again, different furniture and equipment requests there. Again, but to highlight that 3.9 million as replacement schedules, you'll see how that 3.9 million is allocated in the different categories that we have there. Again, from asphalt, buses, we'll talk more about that. Carpeting, tile, some concrete. The steps of Washington is a big chunk of that that we need to replace there. Entry doors, a little bit there. Let me comment on this 815,000 HVAC. The majority of that is actually Pocatello High School, and that's in Unit 1 that we're going to replace all 79 of those heat pumps. Those are in need of repair, and that'll really help the comfort level in that Unit 1 there. Let me highlight going down the lighting. This year, Jefferson, all the classrooms will be retrofitted with new lighting. I will report just even today, I'm pretty sure it was Chubbuck that got new lighting last year. And I just signed a form that we're going to get out of 70, well, it was probably close to this $100,000 once we added some different things, but we will get a check for about $18,000 back from Idaho Power because of that rebate. So these are very positive things here. Again, these outdoor athletic facilities, again, this is kind of tearing out the Alameda track, putting in the outer lanes of the track back, rubberizing it, striping it, labeling it, and then the inner side can be used for, again, football, for soccer, and so forth. Again, restrooms, we'll do the top floor of Alameda School as we did the bottom floor this last year. Roofing, again, is a big chunk there. Lewis and Clark, their entire building will be re-roofed. It is in the worst shape of the district, and that needs to be done. So, anyways, you go through there, there's some different projects in the replacement that I think will also enhance and people will be excited about. Again, the next graph is just kind of consistent. Again, as we have a little bit more dollars, and obviously costs are going up a little bit, we're spending more and more on these replacement schedules. The next one is, again, some additional SIP capital improvement projects. Again, you'll see where it's kind of divided out that some of these have you've already approved or recommended, and what's the district portion through the capital improvement program, and also what kind of the donation is paid for there. Again, I will call out, as you approved this, I think it was a year ago, to spend some money to upgrade our outdoor facilities. This is really the first year that some big dollars are going to be sent first, but it's the first of 3 years, so that every high school will be touched and improved upon. So anyway, you can kind of see those requests there. Again, thank you for our generous donors that have helped there. The next page is, again, shows kind of the fund reserve, so that, again, fiscal budgeting is that we don't spend it all. We have some in reserve, and I'll talk more about that in this next section here. But if again, that major projects, 2.8 million of those major projects that we just reviewed there. Again, that fund reserve, but also there's about a little under $1 million in excess, revenues in excess. Again, I felt it was important that we, and as I talked with Superintendent Howell, that we save just a little bit more out of this year, because again, we're very thankful for those donations, and we're always willing and accepting and talking to people if we can get future donations. But if not, again, we need to continue with this outdoor facility plan. And so that's what essentially that $1 million would be held for, to kind of make sure we have the funds next year to continue on this 3-year plan. And again, also, costs are just, I've never seen them. Even before I got into schools and was in purchasing, costs are so erratic right now. It's just kind of a little bit scary. So that budgeting, it's a little bit more crucial that we have a little more cushion in that budget. And then lastly, I'd be remiss if we didn't mention all of the projects. Again, this is a unique year that we have, obviously, our capital improvement plan dollars, but we also have ESSER 3 dollars. We even mentioned with Head Start that we should get this carry forward, and after 2 years, we should be able to replace those modulars. And Head Start will pay for those, but again, maintenance and our staff will touch those. And again, it's really a team effort. You'll see some upgraded auditorium lights. Sue Pettit and our technology and our energy manager is working hard with those. I'll also highlight that Lori Creaney and her team have identified for this year three elementary schools that need some new playground equipment, and we're going to use some ESSER funds to do that. And so again, these are all great and great things that are happening in the district there. Again, the color coding, again, just wanted to mention it, that yellow is for education, the outdoor facilities is in green, and then at the bottom there you can see kind of the funding source, how much estimated Head Start will pay, how much ESSER 3 will pay from donations, and our capital improvement plan. Again, lastly, as to finish as I began, again, thank you to our patrons, taxpayers of the school district for the continuous support over 60 years for this school plant facility levy. And I think we have some of the best facilities, in the state, because of this continued support and being able to keep these updated. So again, I ask for your approval of this plan to go forward and start bidding and to bring those to you.
Okay. Any questions?
I think it's worth mentioning, though, that when Senator Guthrie was here and he talked about them doing away with supplemental levies, and he said, he kind of warned us to be careful what we wish for.
Yeah, sure.
And the problems that can come with that. So that would be my kind of warning is to be careful with the next legislature and these supplemental
But there's a
levies.
difference between supplemental and this school plant facility.
Correct.
Right.
Correct. And when I look at legislation, I'm trying to see, okay, do they make that distinguishing, or are they putting all levies together, or are they splitting out the supplemental versus the plant facility?
Yeah, so I just think that's something you need to be mindful
To be
of.
watching.
Absolutely. Yep, and we've been asked, even at the ground level, even during Christmas break, we're going to be on a Zoom meeting to kind of discuss some possible legislation that might come forward on that. So
Right.
we're definitely at the ground level for that. Any other questions on the capital improvement plan?
Nope.
Okay, and two of those have already come before you. This one is kind of unique. Again, it was this fall. We had just a small leak back here in our transportation, our underground fuel tanks. It was identified, captured, and tested to make sure that wasn't any larger. The DEQ said, okay, we did a good job and maintained it and so forth. The difficulty is that we just don't know if it's going to happen again. There's no guarantee that it won't. These tanks are over 30 years old. And what happened is, again, if we were in the business of replacing fuel tanks, we would have known that this lead time, especially now, is between 6 to 8 months. And so we've got some bids, and we're kind of pushing this and asking for you to approve some of these 6,000 unleaded, and it was the unleaded that had the leak, but if we're going to dig it all up, we might as well do both. The unleaded, the 6,000 unleaded, and the 12,000 diesel gallon tank there. Again, we can use ESSER $3 because this is continuing operations as it's, and so I ask that you approve that we are able to get sign a contract with M&S Development and Construction to help us replace this come next summer.
I was curious, as I read that, I couldn't quite understand. You're still using the fuel out of those tanks, right?
The diesel, not the unleaded. They said not just because we don't know if the leak would come back, so we've actually had to pump out, and we got a credit for all that unleaded diesel. So luckily, it's not the diesel. Excuse me, I don't know if I said that right. The diesel is the good one, so luckily our buses are able to fuel. It's the unleaded, some of the school vans, the maintenance vehicles. They're having to use a little gas card and fuel off-site, and we're paying that. So we are not using the unleaded tank.
So what happens to that? I mean, it just...
So that's part of this proposal, that they are going to dig them up. Obviously, we're going to drain that diesel as far as we can down, but make sure we can fuel the buses. And if any remaining, we'll have it pumped out. And then that's part of that big cost is they were just gonna dig them out. We actually have to dig a new hole, and it's, in that regard, it's a little bit better because it needs to be a little bit further away from the building so that the buses could fit a little more safely in and around that fuel island. And so, and then they'll cover up the hole, dig us a new hole, asphalt, new cement, and a new island there with the fuel pump at the top there. So it's, yeah, it was definitely not planned, but I think this is a good thing. Again, it's been at least 30 plus years, and that way we'll get the most up-to-date tanks and be set for a long time. Good question. Okay, and then lastly, again, as we mentioned, another one that's on that capital improvement plan is our buses. Again, huge lead time on these buses. We put out bids for 6 77-passenger, just a regular school bus, and then 1 54-passenger bus that had a wheelchair lift in it. Sent that to 3 vendors. 2 of the vendors responded back. The third one, we actually even reached out to them, said, hey, why didn't you submit a bid? And it was just they were going through some price increases, and they just didn't feel comfortable putting out a price. And so we said, okay, maybe next year. So again, you'll see the lowest bid. We recommend approving Rush Truck Center for the amount of $568,860 for the 6 conventional 77-passenger bus, and then for the single 54-passenger bus with the wheelchair lift, we recommend approving the Western Mountain bus sales.
There's not much difference between those.
They are close. They are very close, correct. But it's for us, it was good to kind of spread that out a little bit. It works to our advantage to have a couple different bus styles there. Any other questions for me?
No?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Carl Smart, Employee Services.
Ms. Gebhardt, Ms. Craner, this will be the last time you hear me utter this 4-letter word to you. You don't even blush when I say it anymore. Icy. Because we always talk about icy. It is submitted for the month of December, and we have a holiday until March, so it's going to be like a mini vacation for us. And now we'll get back to the ramifications of that in just a second, but just let you know that it is taken care of for the month of December. Technology, we've had some significant we've reached some significant milestones over the last several days and weeks. We transitioned our phone system off to a new provider, and so over the last 2 months, maybe, Doug, we've had some outages with our phone system. It's caused us a little havoc, and so getting over to a new provider is going to be very beneficial, and so the redundancy there hopefully will be much more resilient to outages. And so that has happened. And also replacing our wireless access points in many of the schools. What we've seen is a lot of the things we've ordered 6 and 7, 8 months ago is finally starting to show up, so we can start doing something with those things. And this wireless access point was one of those we've been waiting for. We've been going on an old product that is no longer really supported by the company, and so replacing these will be very beneficial as well. Especially in our schools, we have a lot of online activity going on. And next week, we will actually transition our email system off of what we have here in district to a Gmail system. And so it'll save us some money because we don't have to pay for the servers or the filters for our emails. So it'll be a good enhancement for us. So anyway, that's in the works. So our technology department has been very busy getting our processes up to speed and kind of modernizing them. So You like looking at something you go say, Ms.
Well, I
Cover.
was just thinking how much it's changed since I first came on the board. You know, technology just, I mean, you keep talking about updates, but from where we began, it's amazing.
We had binders. Big binders.
That was all paper, remember?
Yeah, even before technology.
So, unless you have other questions or comments, we can go on to our next item there. Student enrollment. You have your student enrollment data in your packet tonight. And it's, of course, held fairly steady, right around 12,100 students over the course of the year. And interestingly enough, this data gets sent off to Boise, the State Department of Ed, through the ICE upload. And as we mentioned last month, and even last week when we met with our legislators, the ADA that is created from these students, we knew we were going to be protected this year. We anticipated using our ESSER funds to make up the difference between what the state would fund and what our protected level would be. And 3%, I read the reports again tonight, 3% was what the state's protection level is still going to be. Ours would be 17 units would be come off of our funding to fund protection. And interestingly enough, I got an email, I forwarded it to everybody yesterday. The state board of Ed, and I was going to say the department, the state board of Ed has on their agenda to consider doing average daily membership again this year rather than average daily attendance.
Good.
And so that will be a very good change, because I think when we saw that initial report showed 3% to fund protection, they weren't doing anybody any favors. And so that we'll keep tabs on that and let our board know in the future how it all pans out. But that, like I said, it all kind of ties into IC and the reporting, but we did get that from our state Board of Ed technology manager yesterday, so we will see how that pans out when they meet next time. And so unless there's other questions or comments, that concludes my report for you tonight.
Thank you. Okay, Human Resources report will be rolled to the January meeting, but you're here. You don't want to speak to us? Say something? Okay, all right, well, yeah, okay. Okay, next on the agenda is the superintendent's report.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, thank you. Just one item for me, and that is the calendar. And with a holiday break coming in the middle of all this December, January thing, we don't have too much really to report, but, oh, let's see. I thought you did have it here. Yeah. Oh, we're going to do the personnel. Okay, sorry, a little sidebar there. Just getting an update from Ms. Johnson. And so yesterday, we were proud to host our community to the open house and ribbon cutting at Pocatello High School. That was a grand event for all of us. And today, we had the reception preceding this meeting, and we had a good time there as well. Thank everyone for coming out and supporting those board members that will be departing, and we are so grateful for your service. So tomorrow we have actually we'll start at 3:15, and I apologize, I think I told you yesterday when we were at the open house, when we were trying to figure out Tuesday schedule, Wednesday schedule. We will start at 3:15 tomorrow with executive session personnel, and then 3:30 with student hearing, and we just have one hearing and 3 reports for you. Of course, winter break, as I mentioned earlier, that takes us out to January 11th, which then we'll have a special meeting, board work session, and have the oath of office for the new trustees, and then convene the work session. Potentially student hearing, just to put that on your calendar for Wednesday, the 12th. We'll see what tomorrow looks like, and into the 5th, and perhaps we'll have some, maybe we won't, hopefully not. And then Ed Foundation on the 13th of January, Martin Luther King Day, no school on the 17th of January. And then that takes us out to the 18th regular board meeting. And then we do also have key communicators, which as we will reorganize in January, we'll get a couple of delegates to come to key communicators with me and our community members. Yes, Mr.
Yeah,
Mattson?
it's 11 to 1:30. The time on that.
Oh, yeah, we need to, that would be a little long for a meeting.
Yes.
Just 12. 12 to
12 and
1:30.
1. Okay, all right.
Yeah, 1 even, yeah. Sometimes we stretch it a little bit, but only when necessary and if the folks are available to stay. But, yeah, 12 to 1. Thank you, Mr. Mattson. We'll make a change there. And that's it for me tonight, so
Okay.
thank you.
Okay, you got off easy.
Yes.
Okay, next on the agenda is, it's time for a public comment on items pertinent to the agenda, and I have not received one pertinent to the agenda items, so we'll move on. We'll now move to the action items. First item is to approve the Head Start CARES Act funds, budget carryover, and non-federal share waiver request. Boy, is that government or what? Fun. Okay, is there a motion?
I hereby move that the board approve the Head Start CARES Act funds budget carryover and non-federal share waiver request is presented.
I'll second that.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Hearing none opposed, that motion is passed. The next item is to adopt the 2022-2023 School District 25 calendar. Is there a motion?
Go ahead.
I hereby move that the board adopt the 2022-23 School District 25 calendar as presented.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Hearing none opposed, that motion is passed. Next item is to approve the out-of-state overnight travel requests. Is there a motion?
I hereby move that the board approve the out-of-state overnight travel request as presented.
I'll second.
Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion is passed. The next item is to approve the revised Advantage Plus Federal Credit Union sponsorship agreements. Is there a motion?
I hereby move that the board approve the revised Advantage Plus Federal Credit Union sponsorship agreements for the middle and high schools as presented.
I'll second.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That motion has passed. Next item is to approve the Portland Medical Center donation agreement. Is there a motion?
I hereby move that the board approve the Portland Medical Center donation agreement for the 2021-2022 school as presented.
I'll second that.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Hearing no nays, that motion is passed. The next item of business is to authorize the emergency fuel tank purchase and enter into a contract with M&S Development and Construction LLC.
You missed it.
Yeah.
One
missed a
before.
Mr.
Oh, I missed the
Mattson,
capital.
yeah, we have
And the
F.
Portneuf Medical.
No, we
Please
didn't.
did.
Okay, all right.
We got that one.
Okay, then we're going to go to approve the capital improvement project.
I hereby move that the board approve the capital improvement projects plan for the 2022-2023 as presented.
I'll second.
Okay, any discussion?
No.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Mhm.
Hearing none, that motion is passed. The next item of business is to authorize the emergency fuel tank purchase and enter into a contract with M&S Development and Construction LLC.
I move that the board authorize the emergency fuel tank purchase and enter into contract with M&S Development and Construction LLC.
I'll second.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That motion is passed. The final item is to award the bid for the school buses. Is there a motion?
I hereby move that the board award the bid for buses as
Oh.
presented.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That motion has passed. That concludes this hearing, and I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move that we adjourn.
I'll second.
All those in favor, say aye.
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 That motion has passed, and we are adjourned.
You're done.